Imagine a high-stakes blockbuster movie. You've got massive steel ships, millions of dollars of cargo, unpredictable weather, and international waters. It is completely wild out there. But before the cameras even roll, before a single container is ever lifted off the dock, there is a master script that dictates absolutely everything. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're bringing some bright heist movie energy to a topic that literally runs our global economy. We're going to look at the invisible legal scripts that move mountains of cargo across the globe. Okay, let's dive into this. When you picture global shipping, you probably picture rough seas and tough captains, right? But what truly dictates the fate of a multi-million-dollar maritime blockbuster? Like, what actually happens when a ship hits unpredictable ice, or when there's a real-life mutiny or a dock strike? Well, the answer isn't just quick thinking on the bridge. It's a highly detailed, incredibly high-stakes contract negotiated long before the ship ever set sail. In the maritime world, this ultimate script is called a charter party. Think of it as the written memorandum of agreement that officially records the contract made between a ship owner and a charterer. Now, in the fast-paced world of shipping, the actual deal might be struck over a quick phone call, a flurry of texts, or even just word of mouth. But the charter party? That's the factual, legally binding document that records every single detail, every expectation, and every potential plot twist of the vessel's employment. It is the definitive script for the production.
Section 1. Meet the contract makers, the casting directors of global trade.
To understand how these scripts come together, we need to meet the contract makers. You can really think of them as the massive Hollywood studios of global trade, meticulously setting the stage for every single voyage. First up, we have BIMCO over in Copenhagen. They actually started as an owner's lobby but have exploded into this massive international force. Then there's ASBA, the Association of Shipbrokers and Agents right out of New York, and FONASPA, the International Federation. These industry giants are constantly revising and updating standard forms to keep pace with an ever-changing, super dramatic global market. But here's the thing, not all standard forms are treated equally. Just like a movie script can be an unchangeable final draft or just a loose outline, these documents have a strict hierarchy. If a form is agreed, its printed conditions are locked in stone by mutual organizations. You literally cannot alter it. If it's adopted, it carries a heavy stamp of approval but can be tweaked if everyone agrees. And if it's recommended, the printed text is solid, but it's fully expected to be heavily negotiated, amended, and marked all up in the cutting room.
Section 2. The Voyage Charter. Think of this as the short film. So let's look at the two main types of productions you can run. First, we have the Voyage Charter. It's a specific, highly focused A to B project. The Voyage Charter has some incredibly precise key elements. You have the preamble and date, which establish jurisdiction. You have laydays and canceling, which define the exact window a ship must arrive before the whole deal gets scrapped. And you have the freight, which is the final payout. Now, what's really interesting here is the vessel position element. If an owner misrepresents exactly where their ship is right now, it completely throws off the timeline. Legally, that tiny misrepresentation can entitle the charter to cancel the entire blockbuster contract.
And in a voyage charter, we introduce a brilliant ticking clock element. Time is literally money on the docks. This brings us to demurrage and dispatch. The script allocates a specific amount of time for loading and unloading. If the charterer takes too long, they pay liquidated damages called demurrage, a literal cash penalty for every extra day. But if they finish early, they might earn dispatch, which is a financial reward for coming in ahead of schedule. Every second at the dock eats into or adds to the voyage's budget.
Let's look at the big contrast in how we pay for these productions. In a voyage charter, you pay freight based on the cargo quantity, and the shipowner manages the voyage execution. But in a time charter, you pay a daily hire to essentially rent the vessel for a set period of time, and the charterer manages the voyage, paying for fuel and port costs. And this brilliantly illustrates the pivot from the tightly controlled short film structure of the voyage charter to the massive, sprawling, multi-season television series structure of the time charter.
Which brings us to Section 3. The Time Charter, the multi-season TV show. Welcome to the Time Charter, the multi-season TV show of the shipping world. In this scenario, ships aren't just hired for a quick run, they're rented for months or even years at a time. Plotting a time charter means the charterer essentially becomes the showrunner. They take over the daily operations. They dictate exactly where the ship is delivered and redelivered. The charterer buys the bunkers, meaning they pay for the fuel. And crucially, there are off-hire clauses. If the ship breaks down or the crew strikes, the rent completely stops. The showrunner only pays when the cameras are rolling. But being the showrunner comes with incredible drama, especially around duration. Look at the immense danger of the acronym WOG, without guarantee. If a contract says a charter will last about 7 months, the law gives a reasonable margin of a few weeks. But if a trip is stated as 20 to 25 days WOG, it literally means without guarantee. Giving the ship back to the owner after just 10 days is perfectly legal. It's a massive financial risk hidden in 3 simple letters, basically allowing the network to cancel your show without any warning.
Section 4. Protecting the production. We're talking clauses for unexpected plot twists.
With so much money on the line, you need incredible insurance. Every great maritime script needs protective clauses, because on the high seas, things absolutely will go wrong. The charter party anticipates the hazards. If a port is unexpectedly frozen over, the ice clause allows the master to refuse entry to save the ship. If conflict erupts, war risk clauses allow the owner to refuse entry to dangerous zones. If dockworkers damage the ship, the charterer has to pay for it. And if the ship is in mortal peril and cargo has to be sacrificed, general average clauses ensure everyone shares the financial pain. It is a brilliant, preemptive legal shield.
But the actual wording in these protective clauses, it's a total battlefield. Take stevedore damage, for example. Standard forms might say damage must be reported upon occurrence, but savvy brokers will fight tooth and nail to change that word to discovery. Why? Well, because a ship's captain standing way up on the deck might not see that a bulldozer damaged the bottom of the cargo hold until all the cargo is finally unloaded weeks later. If the script says occurrence, the owner's out of luck. If it says discovery, the production is saved.
Section 5. Signing the final cut. Protecting the casting director.
Finally, after all the intense negotiations, the arguments over lay time, and the off-hire drama, we reach the climax. It's time to sign the final cut. And here is where the broker, our casting director, must protect themselves. So the crucial point is this. When a broker signs this massive document on behalf of their client, they absolutely must include 4 little words: as agents or brokers only. If a broker forgets to add this qualification to their signature, they could be held personally, legally liable for the entire performance of a multi-million-dollar shipping contract. 4 missing words, and your career is ruined.
But even the most locked-in scripts are facing an unwritten future. Today, modern environmental concerns are actively colliding with 100-year-old contract laws. Ship owners are increasingly practicing slow steaming, which means reducing their speed by a knot or two to save fuel and cut carbon emissions. But historically, voyage charters carry an implied legal obligation that a vessel must proceed with utmost dispatch, meaning as fast as safely possible. So, does saving the environment legally breach the contract? The courts are literally still figuring this out.
Which leaves us with a massive cliffhanger. These foundational maritime scripts have survived world wars, icebound ports, and global economic crashes. But with environmental demands driving slow steaming and new international legislation looming on the horizon, how will the century-old scripts of global trade be rewritten next? The climate itself might just be the ultimate plot twist that forces a total rewrite of how the world does business. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope it brought the invisible mechanics of the high seas right into the spotlight for you.